Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkey with StartupTrading.com. It is Monday, July 20th, 2020. It is 8:50 a.m. Eastern Time. So let's just look at this week, what's really going on. As far as I'm concerned, for the U.S., there is nothing noteworthy that I think will be market moving as far as scheduled news. So let's look at earnings next. For earnings, Monday after the bell, so tonight after the bell, you're going to have IBM, which will affect the Dow more than anything else. And it depends on what the move of the stock is, whether it'll have any real impact or not. But the ability to have that one stock move, that index, is there, so be aware. It should report between 4 and 4:15 before futures close. After that, there's really nothing big on the calendar as far as I'm concerned until Wednesday after the bell. That's going to be Microsoft and Tesla with some few other names. And then Thursday before the bell, there's a slew of interesting stocks. So keep that in mind for the bigger parts of the week. And I'm just going to peruse down here to the year-to-date chart. So if we look, the blue line is the S&P 500. You can see we're struggling with the flat line. That's the resistance that we're up against for the year. You can see how much farther the Nasdaq is, and then you got the Dow and the Russell, lagging behind. So year to date, looking back at Friday's show, and this is my mistake, and I apologize. I totally missed the fact because I wasn't in any options, that it was monthly options expiration, and that's traditionally a lackadaisical day and one to just take off. There was some trades to be had, but they were smaller scalps. Not you should never really look for a breakout on a options expiration. You get one about every 11 or 12 times. So once, basically every 3 years, you'll get a good breakout on options X or on quad witch especially. But this was just a regular monthly options X, so not too much going on. And you can just see the reversion back to the mean once we hit the high going into the close there. So all the indexes, if we look at it, most of the action was above for the Russell, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500. And if you look at the Dow, right, most of its action was inside of value, so it was more neutral. And if we look at, just really what went on with the overnight ranges and the fibs, the overnight ranges, and how they responded, you can see that until late in the day, you really didn't get that breakout above the overnight value area high and get anything going, and then you just went right back to the top of that zone. So looking at today's action, 32 points overnight. And if we just, glance back at the last, 15, 20 trading days, we can see that, we've been struggling to really get a breakout. And I think too many people are trying to read too many things into, what's going to happen next. If we cross this line, we're going all the way to here. If we cross this line, we're going all the way to here. I can be guilty of that at times myself. But really what you want to do is just watch the tape, see what's happening. We do have, some interest that was, down below this 31.69. We popped above it last Monday, got back below it on Tuesday, but really haven't looked back above. This is when we had that drug news for the coronavirus come out, the vaccine. 45 patients, they all produced a large amount of antibodies to it, just as someone who had the virus did. And so that was a very promising trial, but we really haven't done anything since then. So I'm going to zoom into where we're at now. And remember, I'll show that below, but below 30.71, we just get back into that other distribution. But we've been trying to break out basically what's the flat line for the year up here, between 32.25, 33.35. Futures have a little bit of offset from the cash index, that is SPX. So keep that in mind. But that's really the struggle here for the S&P 500. And to be honest with you, I still think the edge is to the bulls, right? I still think this is a market that I'd rather be looking for spots to get long than I would be looking for spots to get short at this point in time. So, uh, you know, we're right inside value. If we look at, you know, all the indexes, we got the Nasdaq now trading right around Friday's high. We got, you know, the Russell under value area low, so the Russell is below value. The Nasdaq is, you know, considerably above value and trading, you know, above Friday's high. And then the ES is basically after testing below Friday's low, right, back into value, and the Dow is below value. So that, you know, looking at the pre-market look, just generically looking at it, although we're the Nasdaq is the one that's, you know, the purple line is where we settled, right? So this is your positive or negative for the day, or if you're on it, you're flat from day to day. That's your settlement. So as we look at it, you know, it's the farthest above the settlement. The rest of them are fairly close to the settlement price, but, you know, comparing that to value, you've got much more strength in the Nasdaq again. It is by far the strongest, and then, you know, you've got the other two that are laggy, right? The Russell and the Dow, and the ES is, you know, kind of neutral because it's just in value. So looking at sequencing overnight, coming out of that overnight low, we can see, you know, responsive buyers have been there all, you know, for the most part, coming out of that 31.91 quarter or 30.90 quarter, 31.90 quarter, sorry. And then you can see the same thing for the Nasdaq, very bullish coming out of there. You can see hopes already getting reset for the bears there. And for the Russell, you know, it's about to pop to a new high potentially, and, you know, at that 50. So, you know, 1472.10 might be where it heads to next, but, you know, that's only, you know, 3.8 points above where we are right now, so no big deal there. So looking at the longer term contract draws, you know, we're still struggling with that 32.19 that we've went over and beat with it like a dead horse. So let's move on to the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq, I'm just going to zoom into the area of the chart that we're in. So 10,669, 10,748, and 1,940, right? Those are the levels. So we'll see, you know, what we can do. But I still think that we could probably churn in here. I'm going to put a smaller level. I'm sorry, I just can't do it. This is all overnight trading. So this looks like it should be an area of the chart that has interest. There might be an initial response there, but I don't think it's worth paying attention to. But that's going to come in right at 10,870 basically. And you can look at that. And I'd be more interested in this pivot down from, so let's go ahead and put it there, because this was during the bell hours. So right around 10,870 half is what I'm looking at. And then 10,940, and we go back up. So those were the levels of support and resistance that I see, you know, basically above and below. You got 10,506, 10,463, 10,380. Looking at the Russell, we're holding this 1462.6, so 1496.30 would be the next logical place for me to go, and then below you've still got the 1433.40. I think that'll be enough to watch for the day, and you could potentially, I'm going to put a dotted level on here, stop right around the midpoint of this distribution. And I'm just going to set that at 1451 half, right at the valley of that distribution. Could be a stall zone, plus or minus. You can see how it stopped just above there, several times last week. So if we take out these lows just by a little bit, don't be surprised if we stop somewhere near that, and it could also be right around 1448.30. Looking at the Dow. So you can see, struggling with this 26,510, and then we got closer to 27,100 last week, and then failed. Below that, I still see, 26,300 basically, and then below that 25,750. And you can see, coming up here, there's probably a couple other lines we could add. I would look at the apex of this. That's going to be right at 26,587. So looking back at all the indexes, and before I part off of here, let's just look at the overnight distribution. This is where I come in this morning. So looking at from Friday, right? Let's just go back and look at how we're responding to value. So the gray lines are value area high and value area low for the day. You can see how we've traded, going through here. I'll do this one more time. You can see how we've traded overnight, right? Traded above value area high, come back down, lost value. That ended up being resistance on value area low for the day. And then, when I come in the morning, I start looking at where the overnight value area ranges are. So the point of control right before I got on the mic was right here at 3209 quarter, with the value area high and value area low, down around 3199, and basically right around the 3212 for value area high for the overnight session. You can see where above there the POC is at the top. So I would think that value area low is going to be some decent support. You lose that for the early in the morning, you should trade down to basically 3200, 3199, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Otherwise, I think we're just going to meander back and forth between value area low, value area high, and maybe attempt a breakout today. I hope this helps you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.